Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one, arm drag.
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Oh my God!
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two, arm bar.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Dummy.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three, Lamas covers, three-handle family Gradunzel.
Mamma mia!
And now,
Unchained.media presents the B Plus Podcast with your host, Greg Unchained.
It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
number four, armbar.
I will never retire!
I still got 200 more. I got 200 more holes to list.
All right, fellow B Plus players, welcome to the B Plus Podcast. I'm your host, Greg Unchained. Today is New Year's Day. Happy New Year! Happy New Year, everybody. 2018 was insane. It was a crazy whirlwind at the end there, which, I mean, we launched the site, we launched the podcast. It took me to Melbourne, it took me to Sydney. We've met a whole bunch of new people, a whole bunch of new friends. Hi, everyone. 2019 is looking like it's going to be even crazier. We have just launched a Patreon with the aim of growing the B+, so we have some really big ideas, and every cent that goes into the B+, whether it's via Patreon or via advertising, it all goes straight back into growing the show, creating new content, more content, better content for you guys to get Aussie Graps out there into the world as we, watch global, support local. That is our mantra. We keep the money in the scene. We keep it, the aim is to grow this thing that we love for everyone else who loves it too. So please, please, please check out our Patreon and check out our lovely advertisers, Threadbox, who just want to help you look sharp. Check out All Aussie Travelers, who want to take you to WrestleMania in style at a very affordable price. The best way to support us is to support our advertisers, let them know we sent you, and of course, join our new B Plus community on Patreon. We got a Discord, we've got special call-in episodes, we've got, custom episodes. You can create the content. Anyway, like I said, it's New Year's Day, and you know what that means. You don't really know what it means because we've never done this before, but what it means is it's time for a very, very special bonus episode that I like to call Wrestlers You May Not Have Heard Of, but should pay attention to in 2019 because they wrestle good and probably do other stuff good too. It's a bit of a mouthful. It started as a joke, and I just never really thought of an actual title for the episode. I guess Wrestlers to Watch in 2019, but it's kind of boring, and I thought that the longer title kind of explained it better than anything else. So here it is. We've selected, together with the B Plus crew, we have selected one act from each state of Australia to feature as an act to keep an eye on in 2019, and it was not easy in some cases. So I'm going to start close to home here in Adelaide. Adelaide was a tough one, especially because our scene has a lot of great up-and-coming talent, so there are, a fair few honourable mentions here. Nick Golfus, Rat Daddy, Tommy Knight, Corey Adams, all the young boys over at Rampage Dojo. They're doing fantastic things. Matt Hayter had an amazing 2018. He's probably going to break out in 2019 as well. Andy Faust in ACW is a very exciting talent. He's tearing things up. And there's talents popping up on Riot City Academy shows all the time. Kit Condor is one to watch there. The Pareya, of course. If they aren't breaking out of South Australia in 2019, something is very, very wrong with Australian wrestling. But the list goes on and on with Adelaide talent, so it's no easy task to just pick one to feature. But then I got to thinking, a lot of my selections on this list later on in the show are people who maybe haven't been wrestling long, people who are new and deserve some extra eyes on them, but that's not what the title says I'm looking for. The title says I'm looking for wrestlers you may not have heard of, who I think you should watch in 2019 because they wrestle good and probably do other stuff good too and probably will have a good 2019. So I settled on a man who has undergone a very interesting character shift as of late, leading to what could be a fantastic 2019 in my opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Boomer. All right, joining me at this time, the Adelaide representative on our list of wrestlers you may not have heard of, but should definitely pay attention to in 2019 because they wrestle good and probably do other stuff good too. Mike Boomer, how are you, Mike?
Thank you for having me, Greg. I'm very well, and yourself?
Yeah, I'm well. As we approach the new year, I mean, people are listening to this on New Year's Day, but as we approach the new year, I'm just in a week of basically drinking every day, which is good fun.
Yeah, keep yourself nice and happy, I guess.
yeah, just enjoying the time off kind of thing. But want to talk about wrestling. 2018 was an interesting year for you.
Oh, it depends on what part of 2018 we're talking about. What's the question, Greg?
Well, basically, I want to get straight into the character changes that you've experienced. Well, actually, let's start at the beginning. So you've everyone else on my list has been doing this for a couple of years, but you've actually been in the game quite a bit longer than that. How long have you been doing this?
Next year, so 2019 will be my 13th year.
Right. So you're a bit of a veteran of the game.
I've been around the block a few times. I don't know if veteran's the word, but yeah, I've done a few things.
And 2018 saw some real character changes, is what I was getting at. So what was sort of the thought process behind the turn and everything that went on in Rampage towards the end of the year?
I think it's just a case of it's kind of like a musician that plays the same song over and over again. You kind of get bored and sick of it, so you want to kind of expand and try something new. So this was a new direction that I felt that I could carry and could handle, and I spoke to the bookers and the higher-ups in Wrestle Rampage, and they were excited to go with this new direction.
Right, awesome. And so, of course, we're talking about the new stable that's popping up with yourself, and you're taking on kind of like a cult leader role.
We say church, but not cult. That's fine. I'm just joking. Yeah, so it's very much perceived that way, that I'm filling the heads of these followers with nonsense and religious crap, more or less.
Right, and so Brother Bellows was the first to join, and he got down and kissed the boot and what have you at Fowler's, and then the big shock, Jody, you're corrupting the Golden Girl, Mike.
Well, see, the thing is the thing about Brother Bellows is he knows very well what it's like to be judged. So that's why we've deemed him Judgment Brother Bellows. And then the next move in this strategic, chess match to take over Wrestle Rampage is you need the heart and soul of Wrestle Rampage. So why not take someone so pure and innocent like Joni May and turn her on her head and watch everyone react?
Right, yeah, and it was one hell of a reaction. I wasn't there live, unfortunately, for that one. I was watching on the live stream at home, though. I was held back for personal reasons, and so I ended up getting the live stream and watching there. And even online, Twitter sort of, well, I mean, I wouldn't say exploded, but Twitter reacted. There was like a few tweets in a row on the hashtag just being like, no, why are you doing this? So it's definitely getting a reaction, and that's kind of why I've put you on this list of people to watch in 2019, because specifically this stable that you've thought up, that we're still kind of getting into, sort of starting to understand. Yeah,
so the story is still unraveling, and there's, potentially more members joining. I won't say too much, but, the next coming events, maybe keep an eye out to see how the next chapter of the build kind of goes.
Right, so looking to grow, and you mentioned taking over Wrestle Rampage. That's one of the goals for 2019?
I think what the goal is if we dive into the religious point of view, is I'm known as the Truth Mike Boomer, and I've been gifted with the ability to speak to a higher power known as the Almighty. And basically, everyone's been lied to their whole entire life. They've been told false idols, believe in this, go to this sort of school, and it's just created such a cesspool and a corrupted kind of company. So it's my goal to kind of burn the company to the ground as such, to rebuild a pure wrestling company, if you will.
Right, to have the sort of phoenix rise from the flames kind of situation in your image.
Yes, of course. Or not my image, the Almighty's image, but,
right.
It depends if you believe I hear a voice or not.
Yeah, of course. Or if you're just sort of using this to manipulate. That's awesome. I'm a big fan of the story. I'm keen to see it unfold. Let's talk about Rampage, though. So Rampage has become your home of late. It's not where you started, though.
No, I've jumped around every couple of years. I started way back when 2006, so I was only 14 at the time, and kind of wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to get into it. And I've travelled around Adelaide, a few places, also been interstate, but no, Wrestle Rampage is where I kind of reside at the moment.
Yeah, and Rampage at the moment is sort of going through a phase of there's a lot of younger talent. When I say younger, in terms of experience.
Yes. No, there is a lot of young boys if you are into the Japanese terminology, but yeah, a lot of young boys coming through and starting to reshape the company as such, which, in some senses it's good, some senses it's bad. It's, my job to stomp on the heads of the bad ones and keep the good ones going.
Right, absolutely. And so you see yourself as kind of like a gatekeeper to Rampage then, in that sense?
Well, I wouldn't give myself that role. I feel like that we do have a gatekeeper, in my opinion, and that's Big Willie Gibson. He's very much, it's got to toe the line, and if it doesn't toe the line, he'll let you know. I think for myself, I see myself as kind of a mentor to some. I'll whisper in the ear of this person, whisper in the ear of that person, and see what I can kind of stir the pot with.
And so we're looking at 2019. I'm predicting a year of growth for Wrestle Rampage because everything's looking fantastic. The stories are going well. Everything's firing on all cylinders, and there's a lot of hype, especially around like the live streaming situation. And but for you personally, are you looking at all beyond Rampage's boundaries? I know you did work the initial Iron Fist show. Are you looking beyond Adelaide's boundaries, even at going interstate through 2019 potentially?
Well, I think 2018 was kind of a bit of a building year, professionally and personally. I think coming into 2019, I'll be a little bit more focused in a few goals. I have had some opportunities interstate, and I know that I do still have some contacts, but I think I really want to kind of build on what I am as a wrestler and then see what opportunities come up. So if an opportunity comes up to work something like an Iron Fist or an MCW or anything like that, I'm not going to say no. I'll look into the possibilities, but I'm not exactly actively going to chase anything at the moment.
Right, fair enough. So at the moment, the focus is Rampage, and if other opportunities knock, we'll take advantage, of course.
Yes. To some extent, yeah. Yeah,
so people definitely want to stay tuned to Rampage to keep up with what's happening with Mike Boomer. And what is the name of the stable?
So we haven't revealed a name yet,
okay.
But, I'll give you the inside scoop if you wish. So the stable is going to be referred to as the Covenant.
Covenant. I like it. I like it.
Yes.
And exclusive here for the B Plus on New Year's Day. This is why people listen. So thank you very much for that. Now, I have noticed, though, that, I guess Wrestle Rampage is pretty much the only place people can find you. I had a hard time finding you on social media.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm a bit of a dark horse in that sort of regards. I'm not really onto the social media and promoting myself in that sort of way, which unfortunately in this day and age is a big flaw to have. So it might be something I try and strive towards. But no, Wrestle Rampage, you always find me there, and I pop up here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, social media is kind of a necessary devil at this point in wrestling, but at the same time, when I was trying to get in touch with you to get you on the episode, and I realized you didn't have any work in social media pages or anything, I'm like, that works for the mysterious, mysterious cult leader, the Covenant, maybe you get a Covenant social media presence going and still sort of remain elusive yourself, because I kind of like that, the elusive cult leader. It's kind of a cool shtick.
Well, we don't like cult members. Sorry, church.
The elusive church head. There we go.
The church head. Thank you. But, it's one of those things that sometimes is a good thing, sometimes a bad thing, because obviously you had to go seek peers within the Adelaide scene to find out my information, which maybe only makes me a little bit more elusive, and then also you get to hear the good opinions people have, hopefully, of me.
Yes, well, I reached out through former guest of the show, Riot City Wrestling champion Zach Sabbath, who you guys started together way back when, yeah?
Yeah, back in the day, we used to be tag team partners. We started around the same time, and all-round good mates, even though he's on the other side of the fence. There's no grudges or anything held, there's a history there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I talk about on this show a lot is companies starting to work together and what have you, and I really like that Iron Fist is sort of becoming a middle ground per se. I know he's announced PWSA talents and stuff as well, so I'm hoping we can see more of that sort of stuff. Maybe we can get to see Zach Sabbath and you team up again. He's doing big things over in Riot City at the moment.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I can talk to him. Maybe he can see things from my perspective, and if he can kiss my boot, I'll be happy to work with him.
The Dark Prince in the Covenant. There
Oh,
we go.
yes.
All right, well, I mean, that's all we got time for here, man, because I got to fit in a bunch of other interviews, but thank you so much for coming on the show, and obviously people should be staying tuned to Wrestle Rampage. Do you have anything you want to say before I let you go?
Well, for those that maybe want to seek out and see me, the next Wrestle Rampage event is Saturday the 2nd of February. So, jump onto the Facebook page, come on down, and maybe you guys are willing to see the truth as well.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, mate.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me.
For our next selection, we turn our eyes to New South Wales, where we had a similarly daunting task with plenty of talent to choose from, but we wanted to rule out the big boys, the obvious ones, the ones you've probably heard of. So, despite definitely being worth watching, no one in PWA is going to qualify for this one. So we set to work looking through results and trying to land on a name who we'd seen interesting things from that should be making waves in 2019. Sydney's a harder scene to crack for me here in Adelaide, since not a lot of shows are highly accessible. I talk about accessibility a lot. Accessibility is key when it comes to getting wrestling out there. We want to be able to see. If I can't see match footage, I can't recommend a wrestler to my friends, So PWA and Nui Pro have been across the accessibility game. Wrestling Go are pretty easy to watch as well, but some of the names I saw things for, I saw some footage and places like CWA, Suplex, AWF, AWE, people who wrestle in these places, I don't get to see much of them. So I did reach out to try and get some match footage from a few promoters, but it was harder than it should be. Let's leave it there. I'm all about the positivity, and 2019 especially, we want to stay away from negativity as much as possible. But I will say this, accessibility is key. If people can't see your matches, people can't talk about your talent. So please, please, please get your matches out there in an easy-to-access way, especially when people want to review them for things like this. As much as I wanted to feature some of these guys, it just wasn't going to be possible. One group who were very responsive, though, were the aptly named Future Wrestling Australia. Future Wrestling Australia have some great talent on their cards. Between them and just general YouTube searching, I was able to land on a choice for New South Wales. Sam Osborne had a very interesting 2018 after returning here from Canada, where he trained at the Battle Arts Academy. But, it's enough from me. I'll let him tell you all about it. Let's cross over to the interview I did with Sam Osborne, our choice for wrestler to watch in New South Wales in 2019. All right, joining me at this time from Sydney, Sam Osborne. How are you, Sam?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I am well. Now, as you know, because I shot your message right before we went live and everything, I have chosen you, well, the B+ have chosen you as a wrestler to watch in 2019 because they wrestle good and probably do other stuff good too. So the first question I want to ask, do you do other stuff good too?
I like to think I do other stuff good too. But I don't know. That's objective. I do, whether or not I do it good. I do a little bit of, well, not so much lately, but I was big into jiu-jitsu. I'm pretty obsessed with cricket, and I'm working as a personal trainer. I like to think I do those stuff good.
Right. Yeah, well, you would hope if it's going to be your career, you would hope that's, or if it's going to be the thing that pays the bills, you want to do it good.
You would like to think.
Yeah. So, but we're here to talk about the wrestling. So
that's probably a good idea.
You've only been doing this for a couple of years, yeah?
Training maybe 4-5 years ago.
Right. But I mean, actually, on the shows and everything, I had 2016 or something was the debut. Am I wrong there? Am I wrong on my dates?
In Australia, or just
in Australia, yeah.
In Australia, I would have started in probably early 2016. I would have my first match. So maybe I haven't been going as long as I thought. Maybe end of 2015. I was training with Lee at APWG, and I did a couple of those VIP shows.
Right, yeah.
The
ones in the mass nutrition there in the back room?
Yes.
Nice. Yes. Before the move to... Well, they went to Bondi and Bathurst and stuff eventually. I'd left the state by the time they moved out of there.
The Bondi, they do shows out in Bondi, shows out in Bathurst. The training's still in Penrith.
Yeah.
But yeah, those shows out in Bondi were really cool. I was lucky enough to be on the Bathurst one recently as well. So yeah, they're really good.
That's awesome. So, wait, so you're a Penrith kid as well? Like you're local?
No. I live in the hills there
Okay, fair enough. Local enough, though. Local enough. I don't know how we didn't cross paths with the whole APWG and everything.
I'm trying to figure it out, and apparently you had a green mohawk, so I don't know how that doesn't stand out. But
yeah, I had a memorable look for a time. Yeah. Now I'm just like generic dude with beard and long hair. But yeah, I had like a bright green mohawk. It changed though. It was like green, pink, purple. But this isn't about me. So you started training with Lee. And we didn't cross paths, but it didn't take you long to sort of to head over and spread your wings and head overseas. Tell us all about that.
So mid 2016, I flew to Toronto, and I started training at Battle Arts Academy, which is a gym owned by Anthony Corelli, aka Santino Morella.
Right.
And he met him, like, first day, rocked up and met him. He was very, very kind to me from the first day, and learned a lot under him, as well as the head trainer there, Yuki Ishikawa, who's a bit of a Japanese legend in sort of more of a shoot style wrestling. If you watch him wrestle, it's far less of a show and much more of a fight kind of feel, and that sort of lends itself to my style, the way I like to work as well. So I definitely took a lot of influence from those guys. It was a really good experience. Yeah,
which, I mean, Lee's big into that as well, too, right? Like making everything look like it's a fight, like it's an athletic contest.
100%, yeah. So, which is why I felt, not so much felt natural to me, still had a lot to learn, but I already enjoyed the style.
Yeah, it quickly became a second home kind of thing, yeah?
Exactly. Oh, yeah. It was my home. I literally lived in that gym. Like, some nights, literally.
Yeah. Like, actually slept on the mats?
Yes.
Wow.
When I first got there, I lived in a place called Burlington, which is about an hour and a half away from the gym. And Santino got me a job as a personal trainer within the gym.
Okay.
So I was doing sort of 6 a.m. clients and finishing training at 11:30 p.m. And there's no buses or trains that leaving at 4 a.m. in the morning. So he just, it's fine. Here's a crash pad, sleep in the ring. It's every wrestler's dream. You're living in a former WWE superstars wrestling ring. It was awesome.
So you actually slept in the wrestling ring?
Yeah, a couple times.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Like, that's the kind of thing, you don't hear stories like that anymore. That's the kind of thing that you hear, like, you'd read in Jericho's book. Like, that doesn't happen to us.
Yeah, it's good fun.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's like a real, like, young lion experience kind of thing.
In a lot of ways it was, yeah. He has that old school mentality because he trained a lot in Japan, as well as, obviously, Yuki, who did all this stuff in Japan.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit of a young lion mentality.
Right. And so then 2018, you've sort of come back and sort of started to make waves pretty much everywhere you're going now. So things starting to blow up. I've seen you've headed up to Queensland, as well as, of course, in your native New South Wales. So what were the highlights, I guess, of 2018?
Highlights of...
Within Australia. We'll get to the other one.
Within Australia? Yeah, sure. Highlights was... For me, my favourite ones were initially coming back and doing the APWG shows. I, literally had, there's so many guys that I knew of that I really wanted to work with before coming back. Just honestly, because I kind of kept up the scene basically by watching, keeping up on Instagram and then seeing those guys on Instagram and then looking them up on YouTube and trying to find matches. So a lot of the guys who were making waves down here, and a lot of them who I really wanted to work with, and I sort of had a list in my mind of people who I wanted to wrestle. But anyway, sorry, I got off topic. Basically, I really wanted to do, when I came back, being able to do the APWG shows, working with Diego, who was assistant trainer at APWG and helped me out a lot when I was first starting. So getting to wrestle him, and we had a really good match that I was really proud of. It was a really cool experience. And then on the other APWG show, I got to wrestle Jack Bonza, which was, for me, one of the guys who I was, he was, on the bucket list as I really, really want to work with that guy, just watching his work on YouTube or Instagram or whatever from overseas. So, those were standouts for me. And then everything's just been a good experience. Like, just kind of getting to know guys who I hadn't heard of and being like, holy shit, there's some really, really talented people in Australia. So it's been a little bit humbling and a good learning experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I brought up the whole idea of highlights from 2018. Then I remembered you wrestled on Impact.
Yeah, wrestled is a loose term. I got the shit kicked out of me by Sammy Callahan.
Yes.
On Impact, yeah.
How did that come about? That was through Battle Arts?
Yes and no. Impact was doing a lot of tapings in Toronto at the time.
Yeah.
And I was in Windsor, which is a couple hours outside of Toronto. And yeah, like, you know, a lot of wrestlers would go down as extras on those shows and network and get to people. I was lucky enough to meet Scott D'Amore on. He would come down to Battle Arts shows every now and then. I was lucky enough to meet him, and you know, he was nice enough to put me in that spot, and it was a really good learning experience. Nice to work with guys of that caliber, and you know, in front of that many viz and things like that. It's just, you know, coming out on that stage is really cool. So it was definitely a good experience. But yeah, and then, you know, just to be in there with guys who are on that level is really cool.
Yeah, because I remember watching it. I remember watching from home and just being like, this is a random Australian person, and I've never seen them. And it comes back to that, like, how did we not cross paths? And then looked into your work from there, and you know, it's all snowballed, obviously, since you've returned.
They changed my name.
Yes, Greg Osborne. So it made it hard.
Yeah, Abyss goes to me. Abyss was the agent. He's like, look, you can't have two Sams in the match. And I went, okay. He's like, you're Greg. He's like, does it have to be Greg? Yeah, okay, cool. Greg Osborne it is.
Greg Osborne. And you had the boomerang and stuff. Is that something that you actually work with, that gimmick overseas?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is Sheila the Boomerang.
She has a name.
Oh, she has a name. Of course she has a name. So I was in most of the time I was in Canada, I was in a tag team with one of my good buddies. He now signed with Impact. He's the guys in the Desi Hit Squad, Gashinder Singh.
Yes.
And we were a tag team he's from Brisbane, so we were an Australian tag team called the Ripperoos. And
nice.
We came out to the ring with Sheila the Boomerang, and the Boomerang was more over than either of us by far. We would go to shows, you know, 2 hours north. I swear we went to this Northland Wrestling, awesome promotion. We had a lot of fun working for, and we hadn't worked there before, and we get up there and there's a Sheila the Boomerang sign in the front row of the crowd. I'm like, this is not happening.
That's amazing.
The Boomerang was more over than us, so naturally she had to keep coming out, and when I got on Impact, I had to sneak her out there with me. So
right, because I put some imaginary dots together when I saw you on Impact, because it was Greg, and there was the Boomerang and Osborne, and then we had, once upon a time in Australia, there was a wrestler, TNT, of course, went by Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, I'm aware.
And I thought maybe there was some connections there, but it was just literally Abyss saying, you can't be Sam, you're Greg.
Yes.
Which is a good name, 100%. To be fair.
Yeah. Greg Osborne's a fun name. And then I did a match for them on like one of their one night onlys later on against, not Sammy, against a guy called Phil Alice. And I asked him again, I was like, can I be Sam now? Because he's like, no, you're Greg. You're going to be Greg forever. So if somehow I ever manage to get back on Impact, I'm sure I'll still be Greg.
So if the Impact contract ever rocks up on the door, it'll say Greg Osborne. That's
Greg Osborne.
Amazing. Greg forever. Now,
Greg forever.
Is that one of the goals, heading to Impact or one of those big, or are you happy sort of toiling away, going anywhere, sort of traveling around and doing your thing?
The goal is to make enough money from wrestling that you don't have to work another job.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
That, so, you know, I want it to be my living. So, whether that's, you know, if Impact came knocking, you'd be stupid to say no.
Yeah.
If WWE came knocking, you'd be stupid to say no. You know, wherever I can work to, keep, you know, get an income doing what you love, that's the dream. So wherever that is, then that's where I'd go.
Right. And so for 2019, what can people expect from Sam Osborne or Greg Osborne?
Well, my goal for 2009 is just to do as much in Australia as humanly possible because, I had a lot of, I was really fond of the scene before I came here, but didn't quite realize how good it was until I came here.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, like how much talent there is in Australia, and I just going to the MCW show before the MCG WWE show.
Yeah.
I went to the Melbourne City Wrestling show the night before that. I was blown away by how good that was. The PWA show, I saw my first PWA show, the last one at the Fridays for the Dave show, and again, I was blown away by how talented all the guys are there. And it's just, the standard is so good. So for me, my goal is to be on all those shows. My goal is to be a name within Australia.
Yep.
And then, if something happens overseas after that, great. But right now, I want to be as good as I can in this country.
Absolutely. And as I said at the top, you are one of the wrestlers to watch in 2019. So best of luck for the year and everything beyond. Before I let you go, where can people find you on the social medias if they want to follow this journey?
Instagram is SJ_Osborne. Twitter, type in Sam Osborne, you'll find me. I can't remember exactly what the handle is. I'm pretty average at social media.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at updating my Instagram from time to time. I'm pretty average at the rest of them. But if you want to give me a follow on Instagram, that would be swell.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Christmas has come and gone, and with it, the disappointment of those Secret Santa staples, the shave kit, the sports hygiene packs, and seasonal socks is fading. As we roll on, though, into the new year, it's time to make resolutions. So why not resolve to look better in 2019 and get yourself the gift that keeps on giving and never disappoints, Threadbox. Threadbox is a subscription clothes shopping service which for as little as $40 per month will send you a box of personally curated goodies straight to your doorstep. I get the $160 package which comes with over $200 worth of fresh goodies each month. Kept me looking fly for all my Christmas engagements this year. You get to communicate with the Threadbox stylist assigned to you by email regarding what it is you need, and they will tailor the box accordingly. And in the unlikely event that you don't like what they send you, you send it back, they will replace it with something new and make note of the things you don't like so that they can avoid that kind of thing in the future. Threadbox is a truly unbelievable service that no man should be living without, so head over to threadbox.com.au today and use our code TheB+15 when you check out to get 15% off your first box. Alright, in Queensland, I face much of the same issues that I face in Sydney when it comes to accessibility. We need match footage if we're going to cover you and help you spread the word, but someone who I have seen a few matches of and more than a few promos of, and I'm a big fan of his promo work, is Xander Sullivan. I do want to give special shout outs to, there's a lot of great talent coming out of Queensland at the moment. So Jake Nova, Adonis, EC Diamond, JL Gold, all honorable mentions, that people that I was wanted to get on, but I ended up landing on Xander Sullivan. So Queensland wrestling in 2019, especially with Pro Wrestling League and a few other new companies like New Valhalla popping up. Hopefully more footage gets out into the wild and we can really get across it, because there are some solid talents working that territory. We just need the institutional level. So that's enough. Over to me with Xander Sullivan, our talent to watch in Queensland for 2019. Joining me at this time from the Sun State. I think Queensland is the Sun State. I'm going to call it the Sun State. Why not? Joining me from Queensland, Xander Sullivan. How are you, Xander?
I'm good, thank you, Greg. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. So I'm sure you are aware because I messaged you and I told you this, but you have been selected as one of the B+'s wrestlers you may not have heard of, but should be paying attention to in 2019 because they wrestle good and probably do other stuff good too. So the first question I have to ask is, do you do other stuff good too?
Geez, yeah. Well, I like to think that I at least wrestle good. But I think the main thing that I've at least received a modicum of press for doing is I'm really good at hitting my head on a ceiling fan and somehow turning it into something good.
Yes, I saw that. You turned it into merch sales too, right?
Yeah, it was like about maybe a week after that video of me jumping off the top rope and hitting my head on the ceiling fan and destroying the fan and somehow continuing went viral. A guy that I know had rigged up this this T-shirt, and it said Xander's biggest fan, but the X was the ceiling fan in question. I'm just like, that is so good. I've got to use that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I did.
And you turn it into money. That's what you want to do, right? Turn any fail that you have, turn it around into a positive.
Exactly. It's the whole thing of turning a negative into a positive. And yeah, it was who knew that if I'd known, I would have hit my head on a ceiling fan, ages ago. Maybe, but then it wouldn't have been natural. Maybe then it wouldn't have had nearly the same effect as me just doing it because I'm just a sneaky tad, little bit Gumby.
Yeah, no, I think that these things can't be forced. It definitely has to be natural. So I'm sure people listening can pick this up. Your voice does not sound the most Australian.
No, famously.
So you're originally from the US, yeah?
Well, it's actually, the funny thing is that it's actually even more complicated than that. So my mother is Australian, my dad is American, and I was born in France. So I'm a walking international incident.
Right.
And the sort of like the funny thing is that a lot of people assume that I only moved over to Australia fairly recently, and that like I was trained in the US. But I was actually I grew up on the Gold Coast and was actually trained in Queensland by Impact Pro Wrestling, and debuted here and continued working here. And so the irony is, despite the fact that I do have the American accent, I've still yet to break over into the American threshold.
Right. So how long have you been in Australia then?
I've been in Australia now for almost 21 years, something like that.
But you still have the accent?
Yeah, it's weird. Hey, I think it's the main reason why was because my mother used to commute up to work, and my dad, who was American, stayed home and looked after me. So I guess like a baby duckling, I kind of imprinted on his accent. And
right.
as I got older, I realized that I had an American accent, and I thought having an American accent was cool. So I made my bones about hanging on to it, and much of it is just like a tad diluted. I still have managed to retain the overall effect.
So, story of your life, you just lean into it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just embrace the bit, steer into the skid.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned that you trained at Impact Pro Wrestling up in Queensland. Now, we hear a lot with Queensland Wrestling. Queensland Wrestling, perhaps, for a little bit, it's not as well known across the country as some of the other states, and it's not as well established. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It's not as well established.
I think that's fair. I think that it's a shame that Queensland wrestling does get at least a bad rap. A bit of a bad rap, because really so much of the sort of the negativity that comes with Queensland wrestling is those sort of renegade promotions that work in front of 20 or 30 people and have poor quality wrestling and bad looking wrestlers and things like that, while the actual sort of truth of the matter is that there are so many incredibly talented professional wrestlers up in Australia. Just to name a few, there's people like Jake Nova, who wrestled against Will Ospreay at a January show that we had up here. There's guys like Renegade, like JL Gold, like Alex Shepard, Rip Riley. I could go on for ages, and I would still find names that don't include the bill, including guys who have amazing gimmicks like Adonis, people who are sort of on the up and coming, like Jackson Cross. I could go on for ages. It's just I sort of think that now with promotions like, for example, Pro Wrestling League, we're sort of now starting to finally get to a state where we can approach, not only in terms of quality of wrestlers, but actual sort of institutional quality. We can hope to at least come up to the level of places like like PWA in Sydney or MCW in Melbourne, or at least that's the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I noticed, especially when putting together this list as well, is a lot of the names are names that I've heard of, and I'm like, I want to try to find some footage and try to see who exactly I should definitely feature, things like that. And a lot of the names that you mentioned are people that I've been looking at as well, but it comes down to footage, right? Like it's hard to get footage out there, and that's where, like you said, you need that institutional. I mean, AWA seem to be doing really good, and I'd love to see them putting more footage out.
AWA and VPW are both, have excellent quality in terms of wrestling, and when they do get footage out, it's it's fantastic. It's just sometimes it's due to various reasons it's hard to sort of get a hold of it and things like that. But I think once it gets to the point where all three of the major promotions are working together in terms of getting that footage out there across the Australian scene in a nice sort of organized manner, there's no reason at all why it can't hope to reach the same level as the other top promotions in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so you mentioned Pro Wrestling League. You had, from everything I've seen, one hell of a match with the eventual winner of the inaugural championship, Mick Moretti. How'd that go?
I did. That was honestly one of the funnest matches of my career. As you probably know from watching him wrestle, Mick is such a unique presence in the ring. Just fluid doesn't begin to describe it. And yeah, we were just able to really put together this match that was this love blend of character and sort of good quality wrestling, and it was amazing fun. I can't wait to hopefully get the chance to work him again, since he's now Pro Wrestling League champion. Obviously he's going to be sticking around, so yeah, I'm sure we can hopefully tune up again another time. I'm really excited to see the footage whenever it comes out, because I'm sure it's something that I would love to at least throw in the old match footage archive.
Yeah, so they've uploaded the highlights so far, and with the promise that the show is coming to YouTube soon. But obviously, I mean, this is the thing with Australian wrestling, is people still have full-time jobs and everything, so we need to be a little understanding. But at the same time, we want the companies to sort of try to push towards that professional level as well. So it's a real fine line to walk.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. It's obviously hard when you're trying to balance that full-time work life and that family as well, because Mitch, who was both Mitch and Jesse, who run Pro Wrestling League, are both have full-time jobs, and they're both fathers as well. So obviously it's there's enormous priorities that exist in their lives. So but yeah, I'm so excited to see the footage when it does eventually come out. Not only of my match, but of the whole show, because it was a delight to watch while peeking from the gorilla position.
Yeah, I've heard very, very good things about the show. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Now, I do have another question I really want to ask you. Does everyone compare you to Chad Gable, or is that just me?
Dude, it is constant, and it's so it's really funny, because the irony of the sort of the situation is that this obviously sounds like a totally hipsterish sort of thing to say, but I actually started wrestling pretty much at the exact same time that Chad Gable made his debut on NXT. Right. So it wasn't like a sort of thing of Chad Gable getting noticed and then me sort of copying him. No, we just both happened to have the amateur wrestling gimmick and both happen to look like each other, and it's just everybody just is like, it's Chad Gable. I'm just like, God damn it, I like having long hair, I don't want to cut it off.
Yeah, well, look, I personally have never seen you or Chad Gable in a room together, so...
I mean, he is my dad. I'm just going to come out and admit it, that Chad Gable is my father. If Kurt Angle is Jason Jordan's father, then I'm Chad Gable's son. It's this all really weird sort of love rectangle, all this sort of stuff. That's the truth.
This all makes perfect sense to me.
It does.
It all makes perfect sense.
Wrestling Illuminati confirmed.
Yes. So, another thing as well, 2018 obviously has been a year of growth for Queensland Wrestling, for yourself. Big matches like, for example, the Pro Wrestling League and everything, and AWA, everything all coming together. But looking forward, because today, as people listen to this, it's New Year's Day, 2019. What can we expect from Xander Sullivan in 2019?
Well, I would absolutely love to have the opportunity to really sort of put myself out there, a lot more, interstate. I've had a couple of forays over into New South Wales with Wrestling Go and with FWA. My tag team partner JL and I had an amazing opportunity to go down and wrestle for Riot City Wrestling, and that was amazing. So really, my goal for 2019 is to just be able to hopefully establish bases with the rest of this, with even more sort of high quality promotions in Australia, to be able to get down and hopefully work in Melbourne or go over to Perth and work there. Not even, just, on my own, but for JL and I to go as Headstrong, because, we both adore working as a team, and we both think that tag team wrestling can just be just a work of art. When you look at teams like the Untouchables or like the Velocities or like any of those great Australian tag teams, the quality of the work that they can put out is tremendous. So
Yeah.
we'd certainly love to have the opportunity to tie up with teams like that on at least a semi-regular basis.
Absolutely. And last question, where can people find you on social media? Where can people follow you so that they can stay abreast of everything that you do get to do in 2019?
Well, my main use of social media is Instagram, and it is at It's Xanderdude. So just ITSXANDERDUDE. On Facebook, I think I'm Xander Sullivan GON. Long story. And Twitter, I am at Xander Sullivan 1.
Alrighty. Looking forward to you 2019, man, and hope to have you back on the show soon.
Thank you so much for having me, Greg. It was a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, man. On to one of Australia's absolute hotbeds of professional wrestling. Perth has been a place to watch for quite some time here in Australia, giving us such national treasures as TMDK and Davis Storm. I mean, EPW's been going for close to 20 years, and one to watch in 2019 as she tries to make her way onto that list of great names for Australian wrestling from Perth is New Horizons' own Lena Cross. All right, joining me at this time, our Perth selection for wrestlers you may not have heard of, but should pay attention to in 2019 because they wrestle good and probably do other stuff good too. Lena Cross, how are you, Lena?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
I am very well. First question, do you do other stuff good too?
I try to do other stuff good too.
That's good to know. That's a good place to start, I think. No, basically, the whole idea of this episode is just to let people get to know some wrestlers who they may not have heard of before. So we're staying away from like your EPWs, your PWAs, your MCWs, and looking elsewhere. And you were one who has popped up on my radar quite a bit with your work over in New Horizons Pro Wrestling. So we just wanted to sort of get the Lena Cross origin story.
Yes. Cliche answer, watched it as a kid, absolutely loved it, dreamt of growing up to be a wrestler. But kind of grew out of it as I got into high school. I started playing basketball pretty competitively, so that pretty much became my life, basketball, school, and then it was about 3 years ago I got back into watching wrestling. A big thing I think drew me back in was seeing females on social media that were wrestlers, and seeing how athletic they looked and that they were actually portrayed as athletes. And that kind of drew me back in, and I just Googled wrestling schools in Perth, and New Horizons Pro Wrestling came up, and they had a free tryout day. So I went down, and that was in February 2016. Yes? No, 17. 2 years.
Okay, 2 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. And I haven't looked back since. Just absolutely fell in love with it as soon as I stepped in that ring. And New Horizons, I'm really lucky with them. Just, welcoming me there, and it's kind of like my home now, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even know that you'd only been wrestling for 2 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's crazy. And you're popping up all over the place. Like, you had a big 2018. You debuted with House of Hardcore when they came through Perth. You were scheduled for World Series Wrestling, of course, for a match with Brandy Rhodes. Yes, I was really looking forward to that. That would have closed out my 2018 really well. I did obviously face the beautiful people at House of Hardcore. I got the chance to fight up against Saraya Knight, which is another big international name. Really good opportunity. And then, finish off with Brandy Rhodes with World Series Wrestling. But unfortunately, I broke my collarbone, so that didn't happen. Yeah, so the big Blackcraft Women's Championship match with Soraya Knight, and unfortunately you walked away with the broken collarbone. But now, I mean, there's been teasers on social media. If Brandy comes back, the tag team.
Look, the Bionics does have a good ring to it. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I think we would fit better as a tag team than facing off.
I think so too. I think that should definitely be something that we can hopefully look forward to in 2019. Because I know Cody said that they want to come back as well. So that would be really cool to see you get the opportunity to go on that World Series Wrestling stage. Which, to be fair though, the World Series Wrestling stage would have disqualified you for this episode, so we wouldn't even be talking.
Well, things happen for a reason. So,
but how is the collarbone? Is it healing up? How are you feeling?
Yeah, really good. So I had surgery on it, which I think was a really good choice. They reset the bone, so I have a normal linked collarbone now, and that's helped the healing and recovery. I mean, I'm 4 weeks post surgery. Today actually is 4 weeks.
Right.
And yeah, I have all my mobility back. I've just started loading it, so lifting weights, and can start building back strength again. So it could have been way worse than what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, because I remember when I spoke to you, you said that you had the option of not doing the surgery, but the surgery meant it could, it would heal faster, and so you opted for that. Yeah, which is always a good choice. So what's the timeline for return? What are we?
Nothing's set yet. I'm going to hopefully get back in the ring, taking a few bumps and getting that contact feel again in January. And I'm hoping once I start that, it should be pretty quick back into getting back where I was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so where you were as well, New Horizons Pro Wrestling, let's talk about the Warrior Rising Championship. You were the Warrior Rising champion when you went down with the injury, and that had to be vacated. So are you coming back for the gold? Is that going to be what are the goals for 2019 beyond that?
So 2019, definitely, if it's the Warrior Rising Championship I'm coming for, it's that. If not, I'm definitely coming back for a championship. I had a taste for it, and it was taken away way too soon. But on top of that, I really want to start looking outside of WA, just to have more opportunities to face a whole lot of different people, and just continue improving and developing.
Right. So if you had to pick, let's say 3 other women in Australia that you wanted to face off against, who are the dream matches here in Australia?
I've got to say Madison Eagles again. I have had one match with her this year, but I would absolutely love to face off with her again. Indy Hartwell's another one. Like, she's making absolute waves in Melbourne, and this year she's traveled the world and done a lot to build herself up and make herself well known. So, I'm trying to do that here in Perth, and that'll be a pretty cool matchup because I think we're relatively the same height, and I think we'd match up really cool. Another Australian. See, Kellyanne would have been good, but she's left. Jessica Troy from Sydney as well. I think that'll be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Good choices. And these are all things that could potentially happen come May. Big announcement that's happened over the last few weeks. The Indie Girls, the 2-day tournament, May 24th, 25th. Now, we're hoping you'll be back by then, because I'm going to try to fly over to see this one. I
highly recommend you do fly over. I am definitely gunning to be back for that show. It's in May, so if I'm not back then, I will be very disappointed. But that's something really big. WA's never had a full women's tournament before, so that's like history itself. It's a big opportunity for WA female wrestling, let alone Australian. So the talent that's hopefully going to come over will definitely make a name for itself.
Yeah, Absolutely. And so thank you so much for jumping on the pod with us. Where can people find you? Because as the title says, you should probably pay attention to you in 2019 because you wrestle good and do other stuff good. So where can people find you doing good stuff?
Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at Lena_Cross. I think my Facebook is just Lena Cross Wrestler. God, that's terrible. I don't even know.
You know what? A lot of people don't know their links, so it's fine. That's the magic of editing.
Lena Cross Wrestler. There you go. That one's my Facebook one.
Awesome.
But yeah, so follow me, see what I'm going to do in 2019 because it is going to be a big one.
Yeah, and get in touch with your local promotions and let them know where they can find Lena as well, because we want to be getting out and traveling Australia and traveling the world.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Thanks for stopping by, Lena.
No worries. Thank you.
Melbourne was another incredibly difficult one, not because it's hard to see footage. There's plenty of footage out there for Melbourne wrestling. There's so much great talent poised to break through, though, that they're just waiting for the opportunity, waiting for the spot to open up. And once again, similar with PWA, we wanted to stay away from the big boys. We wanted to stay away from MCW, since this is a wrestlers you may not have heard of episode. And after I made my selection and recorded the interview, this was actually the first interview I recorded for this episode. And after I recorded the interview, after I made the selection, a match announcement was made for MCW Vendetta with these two gentlemen. That's right, two. I couldn't settle on one. I chose two. These two gentlemen making their debut for Melbourne City Wrestling. So they still qualify now. So don't get your panties in a bunch. They're not MCW talent yet. Not until January 12th, where they are making their debut in a triple threat match with Robbie Eagles. I am talking, of course, about two of the absolute standouts from the first run of One Fall Entertainment's Studio Superstars. Based on everyone I know who watched it, these guys were the two who impressed the most. Jet Rouka, Tyson Baxter, the Mile High Club. Alright, so we're doing something a little unorthodox this time around. I am joined by not one, but two wrestlers you may not have heard of, but should pay attention to in 2019 because they wrestle good and probably do other stuff good too. Tyson Baxter, Jet Rouka, the Mile High Club. How are you, boys?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for having us. Really good, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So I've selected you guys for this new special New Year's Day episode. People are listening to this on New Year's Day. And yeah, basically, you guys came to my attention. I saw your name pop up a lot throughout the year. And then I actually finally got to see you because, not everything's accessible and stuff yet. So not every promotion has all the matches on YouTube or what have you. But when I finally got to see you guys was on One Fall.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys were wrestling as Mile High Club. Is that you wrestle as Mile High Club together everywhere?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're hoping to do. Nice little quirky name. We think it's something to go by. Gets a bit of laugh everywhere we go, but I think it's something good to go by, definitely. Yeah, a laugh is usually the thing that gets the attention and that draws people in to watch what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's an appropriate name as well. I mean, you guys, you're out there doing the flashy, high flying gimmick, so why not?
Exactly. That's what we love to do.
Yeah. Now, so how long? So, like I said, you guys came to my attention sort of midway through the year. I think I started hearing things, and then obviously you did the Royal Show, which we'll touch on shortly. But how long have you guys been wrestling?
We've been teaming together for just over a year, and in terms of individually, I've been wrestling for just over 2 years, and Jet, I saw Tyson wrestle at his first NAW show in September 2016, yes, I believe, and I made my debut November 5th that year, so just past 2 years for myself now as well.
So just over 2 years, awesome, and you guys have been teaming for about half that time, yeah. So it's pretty much you guys are a package deal, and you guys went over to Perth for the Perth Royal Show last year. Tell us about
that. Honestly, it was a great experience. Kind of just flung up the opportunity when we were at the academy. Someone said Academy, just to clarify. Yeah, sorry, the MCW Academy. It was just like a nice little conversation. Hey, we've got a spot for you if you want to take it. And we're like, absolutely. We want to work as many places as we can. EPW's obviously got a great what's what I'm looking for? Reputation, absolutely. So we're like, absolutely, we're going to go up there and give it our best shot. We arrived there, wrestled every single day, 3 times a day. If I remember correctly, 26 to 27 matches. I think it was like 23 or something like that. Yeah, sorry. So 23, 24 matches over 8 days. Definitely pushed us to our limits. But what we love doing is wrestling. And the more we can do it, the better. And it was a taste for full-time wrestling, which is what I think both striving to do eventually, yeah.
Jet pretty much put it perfectly. I don't really have any much input to put after that.
So 23 matches in 8 days. That's insane.
It was
like that's more than people on the WWE road schedule.
Yes.
Yeah, so honestly, we didn't think we'd be used for every single session. When we were first approached by Dave and David Storm, and Gavin McGavin up there, they told us they're going to use us every day, which we were happy with, but never did we expect 3 matches a day. And yeah, it was good to be able to. You need to get into that comfort zone where every time you go out there, you got to give it your all. It's not, you can't just go out there and half-ass it and expect to get away with it, because you're going to get injured. You got to give it your all every single time, and that's something we both had to get used to, and it's definitely helped us push further in our careers since we've been back. Warming up correctly, thinking about every single thing you're going to do. Less means more, or making more out of less. Yeah, essentially. Yeah,
trying to simplify our matches so we don't over exaggerate ourselves, and pretty much trying to play it smart, body and mind, preparing for matches.
So you mentioned the MCW Academy there. You guys are in the intake there so you guys are training at MCW now?
Yes, we've been there since the Academy opened up in August, and we've pretty much been going flat out for the last 4 or 5 months.
That's fantastic. Where did you guys actually start training, though? With NAW or...?
Yes, we trained with George the Hitman Julio in his gym, and I started training February of 2016 and had my first match in August. So George is a good place to start to really learn the basics of wrestling, and then it's also nice to branch out other places. Like, we were fortunate enough that the MCW Academy opened up, and we really got to broaden our horizons and really expand on the art of wrestling, pretty much.
Right, and how's that going? So that's sort of taking it to the next level, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's good because a lot of the times you can get stuck in kind of like a plateau when it comes to wrestling. But I think Tyson and I always had the same idea to try and push out there and try and get a bit more experience. So whenever we saw seminars pop up and stuff like that, we put our hands up straight away and try to get there. And that opened up our eyes to see what, we want to learn more from more people, because you can never know everything. You can never know enough when it comes to wrestling. And every single time we rock up to a session at the Academy, we learn something new, something we can put into our matches, something we can incorporate into just the way we work in the ring. And I think we've definitely benefited from it ever since.
Yeah, I think I speak for Jet as well when I say that there's no such thing as the perfect wrestler. You're always striving to get better. If you learn something and you think you're a good wrestler, then you should really stop. You need to keep pushing yourself until you get better and better and better.
Absolutely.
I love it. And you guys closed out the year in style with One Fall Entertainment. It was live streamed online. How crazy is that? That I was sitting here in Adelaide watching you guys for the first time doing your thing over in Melbourne on a Wednesday night.
Yeah, it was really different. We were fortunate enough to be able to wrestle during the week when we were over the Perth Royal show for EPW. But the whole live stream thing and being broadcast pretty much worldwide to whoever was watching was a bit different as well. Working in a TV studio with RMIT and pretty much having to direct everything we do to the multiple cameras that were on us and trying to get to the right points at the right times. It was an eye-opening experience, and it's kind of preparing us for, if we want to take this to a full-time thing, getting ready to wrestle on TV.
Right, yeah. It was really cool to watch, to see, because obviously in Australia we're not used to that kind of thing. Our workers aren't necessarily used to working the hard cam and sort of playing to those cameras and everything. Now, unfortunately, the crowd wasn't what I hoped it would be with One Fall, but it looked like everyone had a really good time anyway for the most part. So
yeah, I definitely had heaps of fun. My philosophy when it comes to wrestling is I just love to wrestle. So we go out there, try to put on a good match every single time, and just enjoy it really, because I love being out there. People can say as much negatives as they want. I love walking in. Just hearing one or two people, chant doesn't bother me as long as people are having fun. I'm definitely having fun. I'm doing what I love. And to walk out there and know that people, for example, like yourself, were sitting in Adelaide watching us, even though we couldn't see them, we knew people were watching us. And I think that's an awesome experience to have, something to definitely develop when it comes to your wrestling, to know that, the people in the crowd aren't going to be the only people who see this match. People are always taking videos. People are always taking photos. Snapchat's massive. There's the Instagram stories, and for example, MCW do Instagram stories, stuff like that. People all over the world see that.
Yeah, in terms of my philosophy as well. It's pretty much, it doesn't matter if you're wrestling in front of 100 people or 10 or even like 3 people. Always give it 100% because you never know who's going to be watching.
Absolutely.
Right, especially when it's being taped and everything. And the thing that really caught my eye was just how well you guys were able to play the role that you were given on the specific nights. So, you know, I mean, on the first night, you guys were essentially in a squash match against Animalistic, Sid Parker and Fox.
Yeah, you put it that way.
You guys played the role perfectly. And I just, watching you guys as performers, I thought that, you know, the story that they were telling with Sid Parker and Fox became the focal point, and you guys, I don't want to say faded into the background. I think I said this on the other podcast too. It's not the right thing when I say faded in the background, but you guys just played that role where what you were out there to do was to put over their story, and it worked. It came across that way. And then the next night, you guys got rewarded with some shine and stuff in your other matches, which I thought was great. But yeah, just the way you guys were able to play the role, I think it really speaks to that philosophy as well.
Yeah, you've got to be able to adapt when it comes to wrestling. You never know what's going to happen. We were given a set time for our match. We walked out there and all of a sudden, like, hey, man, you got an extra 10 minutes. Like, what? We definitely didn't prepare for this, but got to work with it. And, you know, I think if you were able to see what the story was meant to be, then I think we obviously did a pretty decent job at it. Even if it, you know, did require me to get chopped, you know, I was in a lot of pain following that match. But, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Walked out, came back the next day and enjoyed it even more, to be honest. Like you said, we got that bit of shine in. The story was told. And we got rewarded for it, which I'm happy with.
Even if we weren't the focal point or the center of attention for that match, it's good to know that we at least played our role right and helped boost the other story that was going on, which was always good to hear.
Yeah, it was really well done. And that was what really, because I was tossing up with a couple of people in Melbourne, because Melbourne's pretty hot at the moment, as you guys know, being involved in the scene. So I was tossing up, and that sort of cinched it for me. I was like, all right, I got to talk to these guys and put these guys on the show. Now, before we go, I want to talk about 2019. Obviously, 2018 has been huge for you. What are the goals for 2019?
There's plenty, man. There's a lot of them that aren't realistic. There's a lot of them that we think are realistic, but it's not up to us. But we're starting 2019 off with, I think, something that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to do, and I think that's a goal we're ticking off on the very first day of January. We get to have a match in Japan on January 1st.
And 2nd.
And 2nd, correct, yeah. And that's something we thought we'd never be doing at this point in our careers, like early careers. And I think that's a perfect way to start the year. And in regards to goals, I think it's just to work as many places as possible, get our names out there, improve after every single match. This is speaking for me personally, by the way. And, work as many different people as you possibly can. Because, like I said, you can learn as much from someone who's basically never wrestled before as you can learn from someone who's wrestled their whole life. You can learn something new every single time you step in that ring, or even outside the ring just by listening, you know.
And if we're talking specifics, obviously, seeing as we're at the academy, MCW is obviously the main goal, like arguably probably the best wrestling in Australia, if not the Southern Hemisphere. So there's always eyes on MCW. So if we can get on those kind of shows, the eyes of pretty much the world are going to be on us too, which is going to help us further develop our craft.
Yeah, well, there's a certain other young upcoming tag team that are sort of fleeing to go over and train with Bad Luck Fale. So there's a bit of a hole opening up there in the tag division.
Exactly.
Yeah, so maybe Mile High Club can step up. You mentioned a show on January 1st and 2nd. Where are those ones at?
Those are both in Tokyo.
So you guys are heading over to Japan on the 1st of, for New Year's Day.
We're going over there for a week. It was mainly just to go and watch Wrestle Kingdom live, but we managed to pick up a couple of bookings at World Underground Wrestling.
That's incredible. That's awesome. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so where can people follow you to follow your adventures in Tokyo and beyond in 2019? Where can people find you on the social medias?
My Instagram handle and Twitter handle is both Jet Rouka. It's also the name of my Facebook account, so pretty simple. No, ridiculous spellings or anything like that. Should be pretty simple to find. I'll obviously try and upload as much as I can. And Tyson?
My Facebook is Tyson Baxter, and my Instagram handle is @FeverPitchTB. I'm unfortunately not on Twitter yet, but I will be in the very near future.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much for stopping by, guys.
No worries.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
January is here, and we are fast approaching WrestleMania season. Royal Rumble and the road to WrestleMania are around the corner, so the time to dilly-dally is past us. If you want to experience WrestleMania live, and who doesn't, let's be honest, you deserve it. The best and really the only way to do it is with All Aussie Travelers. All Aussie Travelers are new to the wrestling travel package game, but They are veterans at travel, and they have put together a package that cannot be beaten. For less than $7,500, all Aussie travelers are going to send you to New York, New York, with return flights, airport transfers, full accommodation, and tickets to the WWE Hall of Fame, NXT pre-show party, NXT TakeOver, WrestleMania, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, and more. The coolest part about these packages is that for NXT TakeOver, Raw, and SmackDown, you are going to be seated in your own private VIP suite, normally not available to the public, but all Aussie travelers have you covered, man. They got this locked down. It has its own bar, it has its own bathroom access, and all the luxuries that a VIP box comes with, not least of which, of course, an incredible view for everything happening in the ring. All of this for under $7,500. They're practically giving these packages away, man. You'd be crazy not to check it out. So head over to All Aussie Travelers on Facebook. The link is in the show notes. And tell them that the B Plus sent you. And let's go watch WrestleMania in style. For the next state on my list, I couldn't really pick a wrestler since there are no wrestlers there. I'm talking about Northern Territory, Darwin. Is going to change. It's going to change in 2019 because Pro Wrestling Darwin is set to launch. So I reached out, sat down, and spoke with Ben, the founder of Pro Wrestling Darwin, about everything that 2019 may hold for his new upstart company there in the Northern Territory. All right, joining me now from what I imagine is even hotter than here in the Northern Territory, Brad from Pro Wrestling Darwin. How are you, Brad?
I'm great. Thanks very much for having me. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. I have to close everything off when I record. So I'm in my office and the fans are off and the aircon's off and I'm sweating a little, but I'm here. Let's do this. Pro Wrestling Darwin.
Yes.
You're bringing wrestling to the Northern Territory. How'd that come about?
Well, basically, my wife and I were, even before that, I've been involved in explosive pro wrestling in Perth for around 17 years, pretty much from the beginning. And I've been booking there and doing online content for them for a while. I wrestled for them a million years ago when dinosaurs walked the earth. But essentially, my wife and I like to travel as well. So I took a sabbatical from EPW and went and traveled for a little bit. And then we came back and first day of work for my wife, she got tapped on the shoulder and asked to apply for a job in Darwin and turned around to me and said, "What do you think of Darwin?" And immediately I said, "There's no wrestling in Darwin. That sounds great." So that's pretty much how I ended up here.
Right, but not in the way of, like, it sounds great, not in the way of, I'll get away from wrestling.
Oh,
but
yeah,
in the way
for
of,
sure.
I'm going to start something new.
No, exactly. That's right. So, I think I've always kind of wanted to, because I've been a cog in the EPW machine for a long time, and I guess I've always just kind of wondered how I'd go as a promoter, and also because wrestling's never been in Darwin. It just seems like a great opportunity to build a community here and start something completely new.
Absolutely. So there has never been any pro wrestling in Darwin?
Okay, I don't think there's ever been there definitely hasn't been like a homegrown promotion. I have heard that maybe there may have been a wrestling troupe that got up as far as here back in the olden golden era, I guess, maybe.
Right.
But I've searched online and I've looked for it because I want to reference this stuff if there is anything, but I can't find a thing.
Yeah, because you want to pay respect to the history that's there.
Yeah, exactly. But, if there is any, I'd love to know about it and be able to acknowledge it.
Don't want to be making claims that aren't true.
No, that's right.
And speaking of paying homage to the history and what have you, paying respect to the history, something EPW have done recently is acknowledge the traditional owners of land and country and all that sort of thing. Is that something that we can expect with? I mean, obviously the Northern Territory is a place that has a lot of that history as well.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Can we expect that from Pro Wrestling Darwin as well?
Yeah, it's definitely something I'd like to bring over. I think I was one of the first people to actually read the acknowledgement as well, which is a really nice thing to do. I definitely like to keep that tradition going.
Amazing. And so one of the big things, of course, in setting up a new territory, as it were,
in the territory,
a new territory in the territory, was training new people.
Yeah, that's right.
So you've set up a school, yeah?
Well, yeah, I've started. I'm pretty much just retracing the same things that I did from the beginning. So at the very beginning, for me, funny enough, I found an article in the newspaper, and it was a British old school professional wrestler who wanted to start a wrestling promotion. So I got in contact with him, and funny enough, it was at a PCYC who I've reached an agreement with in the Northern Territory, and I had my first lot of wrestling lessons in a PCYC with a old British pro. So, yeah, it's a class at this moment. I mean, ideally, if there's enough interest and enough students to necessitate it, maybe we could move from the PCYC into our own building and start a school. But at the moment, the PCYC have agreed to let me put up a ring there, and now I'm actually in there. I can seriously start looking for a ring or sourcing a ring or looking into getting one built, trying to look at all the options. And yeah, the PCYC have been awesome to me. So, I mean, it's a good starting point, I think. And I think you really just need to start building the community first. Because, I mean, that's a big thing I took from EPW. It's all about the community and the people you surround yourself with. So I felt that was the first thing that needed to happen. And it's taken a while because everything is really slow moving in Darwin. But I'm finally in there and I'm starting to train some new people, which is great.
Right, so the first class is sort of starting to come through. And what are you looking at in terms of 2019? Will we expect the first show for Pro Wrestling Darwin in 2019, or do you think it's going to be a slower build than that?
I'm really hoping to start running as soon as the weather changes. We're right in the middle of our build-up at the moment, which is the worst time for Darwin. The streets are empty, and I just don't think there's much of an audience here to promote a show to, because everyone gets away from the extreme heat. But ideally, when wet season starts, dry season, starts in May, I'd really like to start running. But of course, I've got to get a ring by that point, and there's a long ways to go until then. But I'm striving 100% to have several shows in 2019.
Fantastic. And so while bringing up the first class and the first lot of professional wrestlers from Darwin, from the Northern Territory, you're probably going to be relying on interstate talent, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, that was always one of my big goals, was because we're incredibly far behind in Darwin. I mean, wrestling's been going on. I mean, this modern era of wrestling that I've been involved with has been going on for about 20 years. So we're 20 years behind already. So obviously I'll be calling along on all of my friends who I've come up with in wrestling to come over and come up, I should say, and help. But I mean, at the same time, I've had a former EPW wrestler named Leo Pratt who's moved up to Darwin shortly after I did, so he's here as well. And I have a wrestler who worked in Townsville as Ginjaro, I believe his name is, or Ginjero was his name there. I think he's going to be changing up his gimmick slightly, but I have another wrestler with some matches under his belt. So it's already starting. All you really need to do is put out the feelers, and generally some people that are involved. And I also have a guy who was doing the sets and setting up rings for MCW in Melbourne, who is now moved to Darwin. So we're starting to build a little bit of a crew, as well as myself and my wife, who did front of house with Shell at EPW for 10 years as well. So there's quite a few people with experience in various levels of putting on wrestling shows living up here, which is fantastic.
That's really good to hear. That's going to help out a lot, obviously, having a solid crew behind you. Something that EPW has been renowned for years is their solid video production.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that something that we can expect from Pro Wrestling Darwin when it gets off the ground, to immediately have that kind of presence? Or
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, probably I'm trying to think of the eras, because I do tend to move around a bit. But early on, it was a guy called Rick Sanders, and he was awesome. And he was a manager and commentator as Slick Rick Sanders. But he was fantastic at all that sort of stuff. But then eventually everyone gets older, they have children, and he stepped aside. So I was doing a lot of the EPW YouTube stuff for, I want to say, from 2015 to 2017 before I left on my trip. So, I mean, a lot of that stuff, yeah, I'll be doing a lot of that. So it'll be very similar styles, because I'm not trained in video editing or anything. I just have a very punk rock kind of jilted style with static and all that sort of stuff. So I could imagine I'll still be using some of my tricks that I used in EPW here.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Because, yeah, one of the biggest things for me is accessibility and footage and being able to actually watch the matches. Because it's one thing to hear about it from reports of people that were there, but to actually be able to sit down and watch the thing, whether it's live, like Rampage have done recently, or whether it's, in post a week or two later.
I tell you what, Giles O'Brien at EPW, he edits up and turns them around really quickly. He has them out in about a week, so I've got a tall task to live up to if that's the case, if I'm living up to his Vimeo record, but I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, there's a couple. PWA turned their last one around in like 4 days.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was insane. It was absolutely insane. I wasn't even home from Sydney yet because I took the trip up for the show. We were talking about it before. But yeah, it's insane. Some of them, I mean, look, we're not going to expect a new company to be turning them around that quickly, but it would just be good to see footage. I think Pro Wrestling League, who just started up in Queensland, they've promised to put their first one up on YouTube. Just so people can see what it's like. So I think things like that are a good idea.
I think so too. I think it's really good to put things out there for free, particularly when you're a new company. I've seen Iron Fist Pro did that as well. They put their first one up on YouTube for free, and I watched the whole thing. I think it's a great thing just for people that are on the fence. They want to watch, and if you put on a good product, then they might go to your Vimeo page or your on-demand page or your Pivot Share or whatever it is, and then they might actually support you monetarily. So,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, all the best for 2019, hoping that big things come out of Darwin. I know having a look over in New Zealand, for example, SPW, they're very isolated themselves down on the southern island there. And they've even become somewhat of a tourist spot. People fly in just to see these shows. And I wish all the best for 2019. I hope that Pro Wrestling Darwin becomes a fly-in destination and boosts some tourism for the Northern Territory.
Oh, I hope so too.
With some graphs.
Thank you so much for giving me the time.
That's all right. Thanks a lot for coming on, Brad.
Cheers.
Similarly to Darwin, in Tasmania, we couldn't really pick a wrestler to watch since none of us here at the B Plus are fully across the Tasmanian scene ourselves. So I reached out to TCW, to Tasmanian Championship Wrestling, who I know operate in the territory, and spoke to one of the co-owners, Eddie Jones, about the company itself. Leading into 2019, TCW is one that we want to keep across a little more. It's one of our resolutions to make sure we stay across Tasmanian Championship Wrestling. So here is a chat that I had earlier this week with Eddie Jones from Tasmanian Championship Wrestling. All right, joining me now all the way from Tasmania, one of the co-owners of Tasmanian Championship Wrestling, Eddie Jones. How are you, Eddie?
Yeah, good, thanks.
That's good. That's good. I'm not even. Yeah. This is weird for me talking to someone from Tasmania because, like, growing up, I've had friends in Queensland. I've had friends in Perth. Even I've had friends all over the place. I've never actually met someone from Tasmania.
Yeah, we're very much out of the way down here. I'm sure a lot of people would like us to not be part of the country, but we're still creeping in there.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about South Australia and Western Australia as the forgotten states when it comes to Australian professional wrestling, but Tasmania is really, really the forgotten state because you guys have wrestling there, unlike the Northern Territory, which that's coming soon.
Yes.
But you guys actually have wrestling there, but it just doesn't seem to get talked about.
Well, yeah, I think, before Northern Territory starts off next year, I think we are the newest.
Yeah.
I think we were the last ones to get it, because I think we started I think we had our first classes 2012.
Right.
Thereabouts. First show was 2014, so we're very much behind sort of a lot of the other states.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone's got to start somewhere, though, right? So, at least it's happening. It's starting up. So you guys run a school down there as well? It's the school and the shows?
Yeah, we've got our own school down here because obviously Bass Strait makes it difficult to just rely on mainland talent and the wonderful airlines with their costings at the moment. So the goal is to ultimately just get a roster of complete Tasmanians, which we're not far off from at the moment, which is nice.
Right. Having a look through the history, because I will admit to being fairly ignorant of Tasmanian Championship Wrestling myself. I'm just as guilty as anyone when it comes to this. Which, I mean, this episode is meant to be, a wrestler from each state that people should be paying attention to in 2019. But as I'm guilty of not knowing much about Tasmania myself, I basically was like, let's just feature the promotion because people need to know that this exists. People need to get out there and pay attention to the promotion. I'm going to make a concerted effort through 2019 to pay more attention as well to what's happening out down that way. But
that's sort of our goal for the year as well. Try and get the name out there a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean,
we are very.
The big thing for me is footage, right? Like it happens even with Sydney. A lot of the companies in Sydney, it's hard to watch footage and matches and stuff. Is that something we can expect sometime soon? Like maybe YouTube's or
we have set up a new YouTube account more recently. At this stage, we haven't got much match footage on there. We've got highlights of each shows.
Yeah, I have seen some of the highlight footage.
Are on there. But yeah, we haven't quite got to the matches yet. We do film all of our shows, and we have every show we've ever done, we have on DVDs, and they're for sale at our shows and everything. But we haven't quite got to the stage of putting a lot of full matches up. I think if you scroll through Facebook, we have a few from over the years.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a lot.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to push the YouTube channel a bit more as we go on now through into the new year. So hopefully we'll get to that stage shortly.
Definitely, that's something for people to look forward to. Is more match content. I think it's just as a general rule for any promotion. Yeah. It's good to get as much matches out there as possible because that's what people want to see. You know, but who are some of the names that we should really be paying attention to down there? Since that is sort of the focus of this episode. Who are some of the up and comers in Tasmania that people may not have heard of?
Our champ at the moment is a wrestler by the name of Liam Lacey, and he has come on leaps and bounds in the last sort of 6 to 12 months from where he was. Used to wrestle in a mask as Omega for 2 or 3 years, but it just wasn't quite sitting with him, and now he's gotten all that, started afresh, and yeah, he's probably my favourite person down here to watch. I could sit and just watch him go out for whenever.
Right, so he's lost the mask, but found himself sort of situation.
Yeah, pretty much. He's just brought more of himself into the character, which always makes life a lot easier, I think, for anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's currently the TCW Tasmanian champion?
Yes.
Yeah, defeating yourself at the last show, I remember, from the results.
A couple of shows ago now, but yes. No,
okay.
He got that from me.
Right.
With a little bit of help from some of our newly formed tag team of the Brisbane Street Bullies of Chris Lockwood and Adrian Alexander, who are very out of place in Tasmania with their bright fluoro black shorts and long girly hair.
Bright fluoro bike shorts and long girly hair. That's not something you see often in Tasmania?
It depends on the area of the state, but they've definitely got their market cornered and they love it.
Fair enough. And so with TCW, are we looking more family-friendly kind of entertainment akin to something?
Yeah, we're very much a family-friendly orientated company. Like, there's a few MMA promotions and stuff down here that really have a corner on that 18-plus demographic, and we sort of looked at it and said, there's not a lot of entertainment down here for families to do that's other than the movies or something like that that's going to cost them $80-90 at best.
Yeah.
So we very much cater. We have a lot of kids that come to our shows, dads that can finally go and do something with their kids.
Yeah. Look, as a parent to a young family, I can attest to the fact that that's where the money is. That's the money's in the kids, man. Because we'll buy all the things the kids want, you know. So I mean, that Christmas just came and went, and story of our life, you know.
But yeah, so it's a very when we have had guys come down from the mainland, because that's what we call the rest of the country down here. We have discovered that that's just a Tassie thing, calling it the mainland.
Yeah.
So just to explain that, they come down and sort of expect it's a wrestling show. We'll have a wrestling crowd. A lot of our crowd aren't sort of your classical wrestling fans that would sit and watch a lot of stuff on TV or New Japan or WWE, but they like our shows, they like the entertainment, they like coming to have a laugh with everyone and watching these over-the-top characters do their thing. Like, it's very different for everyone down here because we don't really have many avenues for that type of thing.
Right, and that's the great thing too is for the workers too, coming down there, it's, you know, working in front of a new crowd that's a different, different places have different crowds, different experiences. Even like just within states, you can get different crowds. You know, the Riot City crowd is very different to the Rampage crowd here, for example. But so that's awesome. Now with the mainland wrestlers, I see when I look through the history that you guys have had somewhat of a who's who. I mean, legends like Cremator, Perth's first lady, Michelle K. Haslick.
we've been very lucky over the years with the names that have wanted to come down and work with us and try and help us grow and move us to the next level, offer everyone advice as we've gone along.
Yeah. Oh, can we expect more of that in 2019? Or are you looking solely to sort of establish the Tasmanian?
We're always happy to have guys come down because we kind of feel like it gives a different vibe to it, because obviously it's nice when you can have rosters full of your own people, but if you just only have your own guys, you're only working with each other, no one's going to learn anything new, no one's going to get any better or get any tips. So we're always happy and always looking to bring down more people to work with, different matches, different things. So, and as you've said, everything's different in every state, so it's always nice to get different prerogatives on stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I know someone who is currently doing a whole versus Australia thing who has been a part of TCW before, Gavin McGavin. He was very different back in the days.
Yeah, yes, we had him a very, very long time ago.
He was doing the McMassive stuff, right?
Yes, that was still... I believe the match, the tag match we had was McMassive and Panic, so we're going back quite a while there.
Wow. Yeah. But he's doing the whole Gavin versus Australia thing. I'd love to see him get down there.
Oh, we would love to have him back at any point. He's,
yeah, awesome.
Come along in leaps and bounds since then.
Yeah. Oh, one of the best in Australia. One of my favorite to watch. But getting away from it. So 2019. Now I know 2018 saw about 4 or 5 shows from you guys. I think it was. So you guys do basically a show every other month.
Yeah, that's about I think we're about every 2 months.
Yeah. So we're continuing that through 2019?
Yeah, we're looking, I think at this stage we're about 8. We've got 8 locked in so far. We're hoping to get to Hobart as well, sort of in the back half of this year, because we still haven't had our first show down there yet either, because we're based in the north of the state.
Yeah, so you guys are in Launceston, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And pronounced correctly, so well done there.
I pronounced it correctly. I wasn't sure. Because, see, I'm not even convinced.
We get a lot of the Launceston.
Yeah, see, I'm not even convinced that Tasmania is real. You know how they have there's like the flat earth conspiracy that Australia is not real? I'm like, that's ridiculous. But Tasmania, you could convince me of that.
Yeah, we're sort of just hanging down here with New Zealand going, yep, cool. We're part of the world too. The amount of maps that I've seen that we're not even on, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, New Zealand's another one that I'm very guilty of here with our team here at the B+. We need to expand so that we can include Tasmania and include New Zealand, and that's a goal for us in 2019. So we will be paying attention to everything that's happening down there. Thank you so much for stopping by and giving us a bit of a rundown. Now, where can people find all the TCW goodness for the year?
Well, as we said before, we're on YouTube now. I believe that page is just Tasmanian Championship Wrestling. We're on Facebook and Instagram at this stage, and they're all just under Taz Championship Wrestling.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Eddie.
All right. Thanks for having us, mate.
Finally, for our final state, you're expecting me to talk about Canberra, right? We've done the Northern Territory. We've done Western Australia. We've done South Australia. We've done Victoria. We've done New South Wales. We've done Queensland. We've done Tasmania. All that's left is Canberra. It's the last state that I haven't gotten to, and it may be my ignorance showing here, but I don't really see anything of note happening in Canberra. Of course, Canberra did produce Mikey Broderick, who is now a member of the TMDK, but he's in PWA, so he doesn't care. I mean, he's definitely one to watch in 2019, but he's definitely also not a wrestler you may not have heard of. You're sitting there saying Mikey Broderick's from Canberra, then you've heard of Mikey Broderick, so I wouldn't be doing my job if I featured Mikey Broderick. But I couldn't really find much going on in Canberra. I reached out to some people, and I'm told that there is a scene there. It's just not very well publicized. And look, if there's anyone listening to this in Canberra, reach out to me, because I would love to know what's happening over there. But because I couldn't think of anyone or find anyone for Canberra, I figured, hey, why not jump across the pond a little? One of my goals for 2019 is to try and get more across New Zealand wrestling and be more inclusive of New Zealand wrestling on this network. So why not sit down and talk to someone who I think we should all be paying attention to coming out of SPW over there on the South Island, J.K. Moody. All right, joining me at the moment from across the pond. It's not really across the pond. Across the pond generally refers to the UK. But from across the way, over in New Zealand on the South Island, J.K. Moody. How are you, J.K.?
How are we doing? How are you?
I
I'm sweating.
I'm good, man. I'm good.
It's hot, man. Whereabouts are you coming from in Aussie?
From Adelaide, and it's very hot here as well.
Yeah, I can imagine you probably got me beat in that respect, but no. Sitting here sweating like a pig, so I'm good to go. Let's do this.
So New Zealand, I don't associate with being hot all the time. It always looks beautiful over there.
No, hot for us is like mid-20s without a break.
Oh.
Like, yeah.
Oh, so you're mid-20s and you're sweating. Yeah, no, we're like low 30s here, and I'm like, this isn't even the hottest day this week.
Oh no, that sounds awful.
Yeah, but let's talk some wrestling. So basically, the episode we're doing at the moment is wrestlers you may not have heard of, but should definitely pay attention to in 2019 because they wrestle good and probably do other stuff good too. So the first question I want to ask: do you do other stuff good too?
I have been known to do other stuff. I haven't been a wrestler for very long, so if I was like only good at wrestling, then there was like 22 years of just uselessness. I played rugby for a very long time. I played it to a decent level, sort of like top per end amateur level.
Nice.
Yeah, I make and sell clothes, which a lot of people don't know, but I did that for a lot of years, and I also work in a pharmacy, and I just
Right. I'm starting to piece things together now.
Yeah.
Where you do the whole antidote thing and you got the mask on,
that's where you get
right?
free face mask from, so that's where that coming.
Nice. So you're not spending money on the gimmicks. That's always good.
Nah, mate, straight in the pockets after work, and I'm out of it.
So you mentioned you were a rugby player before, so you've always been an athlete. How did you get into wrestling?
Like watching it or participating?
Both.
Watching, I honestly can't remember, bro. Like when my earliest memories always have a tinge of wrestling relation to them. Like my early memories are of like watching it on TV4, which was like a free-to-air channel over here when I was like 3 and 4. And then ever since then, it's just flourished. It's never really gone away. If anything, it's grown. And then actually getting into wrestling, basically me and a bunch of mates did what's known as do you guys have red cards over in Aussie?
Do we have what, sorry?
Do you do, like, if you're in a flatting situation, do you do red cards? Have you ever heard of that?
No, not that I know of. I haven't heard of it.
Okay, so if someone in the flat pulls a red card, mandatorily, like, you've got to stop what you're doing and just start getting on the piss. And, like, so this one was, like, wrestling themed because it just so happened that the very first SPW show was on that night in our town where we live, which was the first wrestling show here in, like, 35 years.
Right.
So we're like, man, we'll make a day of it. So we made a big day of it. And then I got talking to some of the boys. I think one of them was Travis Banks. And I was like, man, he's like, oh, you're a big boy. You should probably give it a go. And I was like, I could do it easily because I was all full of confidence at that stage.
Yep. No, the liquid courage.
Exactly. Woke up the next morning with zero recollection of any of this. And then like a week later, I got a message from a thing from Troy about an open day. Troy being Powerhouse T-Rex. About an open day, and they're like, do you want to do that? And I was like, hell yeah. So I just sort of jumped in from there. And then from the first bump, I was like, this is for me. This is my thing.
Right. Amazing. Yeah. And so how long ago was that?
That was, so the show itself was, when did I start? It was February 2016 was my first training. So it was, I started training in February 2016.
So only a couple of years
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, like 2.5 years ago, maybe almost 3.
Right, awesome. And so you're SPW born and bred?
Born and bred, yep. Born and raised.
Yeah. The SPW looks really special. From what I see online now, it's one of my New Year's resolutions is to get more across New Zealand pro wrestling. So I know there is IPW as well up north,
yes.
but SPW is the one I've seen the most of, and it looks like a really special company. Like it's got a real special vibe. Like almost everyone in the town comes out to watch, kind of thing, and it's a real. I can't really think of a way to describe it, but like it's got a very loyal sort of.
That's
following.
very much the case. So where I'm from in Invercargill in Southland, it is like a town of, I think we have 50,000 people. So everyone is everyone's cousin, and everyone knows everyone's uncles, aunties, sisters, brothers. So there's nothing on. So if there's not rugby on that weekend, there's probably nothing happening. So basically, whenever there is something special on, if you promote it well enough, you're going to get a loyal following. There's going to be people coming back just because of the lack of variety. But in saying that, it sounds like a bit of a cop-out because people keep coming back because it's quality. Like, you'll get people that be like, oh, that wrestling stuff, that fake flippy, Lycra stuff. And then they'll come to a show and they'll just leave like gobsmacked, like, damn, that was something special, and they keep coming back and they bring more people, and it's sort of got this almost like frenetic, not cult-like following, but definitely a fraternal top following. If you get me.
Right. That's a good word to describe it. Yeah, that I get that vibe, absolutely. And it's sort of growing show to show.
Ridiculously, man. Like even our trainee shows, our fight nights are starting to get like 150, which is pretty crazy because we don't advertise them, and it's held in what is essentially a shed. So them even pulling 3 figures is pretty cool.
Yeah, right. So those are like the shows that, so we have similar ones here with Riot City and stuff there where they hold them in there. Basically, it's where they train.
Yeah. A simple trainee show, but I think what's helping things is that's kind of where we get our imports into. Like we got Jimmy Havoc coming for one in January. We've had Hinare from New Japan and Will Ospreay last year.
Right, and you had a match with Will Ospreay at one of those, yeah?
I did have a match. Yeah, I had a match almost a year ago with Will, and it was pretty awesome. It was pretty special. Well, from my
that
anyway.
That promo where he said that, you know, he saw something special in you and that you should apologize to the fans, and then you did the turn. That promo was one of the things that got me looking at SPW. Like, I was like, that's because, you know, Will Ospreay, he's the name that I follow. And so seeing that promo, I was like, this guy's special, and I've been sort of following along SPW since then as much as I could. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. Is that sort of integral to building the New Zealand scene, you think, bringing in those imports?
Yes and no. Like, ideally, you don't want to have to. Like, I think that who we have in New Zealand is good enough to drive a show. Which is sort of case in point. We've had a lot of shows recently where we have just brought in, maybe we've had one guy from Aussie, or we've had, you know, some guy that we don't see so much. But I think where we want to be is, I think there's enough talent in New Zealand that we can drive shows by ourselves. But having international imports is amazing for getting exposure on us, and also just teaching the boys that are on the show. Like, I learn bucket loads every time someone else comes in from a different place, be it a different company or country or whatever. I think it's integral for learning and teaching, but also you do get that sense of exposure, especially with someone like Havoc or Ospreay, where they've got that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So like different sort of different outlooks, different ways of doing things, and what have you.
Yeah, and then through that we'll get different eyes on us. Maybe, you know, that's I think a lot of the reason how we got in touch with Progress.
Right,
as through those links there. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so we touched on it before. You sort of started a new kind of thing recently where you're the antidote. How did the antidote come about?
Well, it sounds silly, but you know the song by Travis Scott?
No, actually.
It's just a, you know, a rap song called Antidote, and I was going to use it as my theme music, and I was like, man, that'd be kind of a cool name. But then on top of that, I started building, like, brought in the whole like face mask and the pill and all that for my logo, and then I started the idea of a counter wrestler, because you have counter boxers, and you have like escapologists and that sort of stuff like Zack Sabre Jr. But no one was really doing the whole "I'll use what you're using against me back against you" sort of thing, or not really putting a name to it anyway. So I was like, why don't I just do that? So that was
absolutely
the genesis of it anyway. Yes.
Yeah, and it's sort of become your thing, and I mean, the last year has taken you to new heights. You made your debut over here with MCW.
Yes, awesome.
Which was how did that all come about? And are you looking to do more over here in the new year?
I am absolutely looking forward to. I want to come back ASAP. It came about, so we have a working relationship, SPW, with MCW. So we had Gino and Mikey J, who is one of the owners, or the owner, I'm not sure, of MCW. They came over for our stadium show this year.
The Southern Rumble, the big one.
Yeah, the Southern Rumble. Yeah, and then so I ended up getting on with Mikey like a house on fire. And then Mark, who is the hooligan, who's one of our owners for SPW, hooked me up with his details, and we got chatting back and forth. And I decided to get on a plane. Me and my girlfriend jumped on a plane, and we went over and had an absolute fantastic time. And I loved everything about MCW. I want to go back now.
Yeah, it was a fantastic debut, and I think a lot of the fans are wanting you to come back. So I also saw that you've been announced for. This is good for me because I'm an Adelaide boy. So Iron Fist Pro.
Yes,
coming up.
Very.
So you're heading our way for Iron Fist Pro, and I saw you got into it a little bit with one of the imports that's also been announced for the show on Twitter with Trey Miguel.
Hey, I just get sick of people talking smack, man. Like I talk smack as much as anyone, but if you think you're better than me because you're on TV, like unlucky because I'll probably bite your face.
Right, so I'm going to be having a word to the Iron Fist promoter and being like, let's make that happen, because that's kind of got me very interested. I want to see Trey Miguel versus JK Moody now. What are your goals for 2019?
In concrete, I want to win everything, and I want to finish SPW. I want to clock it. I want to complete it, because I've won the belt. I've won the Rumble. I want to win the Fight for Gold, which is coming up. I don't even know. I think we're having a Fight for Gold tournament. I don't even know if I'm in the tournament, but if I am, I'm going to clean that up. And I also want to take the tag belts at some stage. I need to find someone that's on my level to be a partner, but whatever. But other than that, that's pretty much it for New Zealand. And I really want to wrestle. Do you know who Liam Fury is?
I've heard the name.
He is the best wrestler in New Zealand, hands down. I'll stake my name on that any day of the week. But I want to match with him before he goes and becomes the biggest star in the world. I want to come over to Aussie. I want to do more stuff with MCW. The whole the wee taste of the Intercommonwealth belt has got me very interested in that division. That sounds like something I could really sink my teeth into. So I'd love to come and do some more work with MCW, PWA, New Pro, Wrestle Rampage. I want to do them all. I just want to start sinking my teeth into the Aussie scene, and then hopefully by the end of the year, we'll see where we go after that, because I've got a few things planned, but I don't want to say anything in case of jinx it.
Right, absolutely. Well, I'll be paying attention, and hopefully everyone who's listening to this will also be paying attention. Where can people pay attention to you online on the social media?
My main name is Instagram, because I like it. You can put a photo up, a couple words, done. So my Instagram, the @JKMoodySPW, would be my main go-to. Also Facebook, JK Moody SPW. And Twitter is @JKMoodySPW.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Not a problem at all.
So there you have it. What a marathon. 8 interviews for New Year's Day. They aren't as long as I normally do because, I like to do half-hour interviews to an hour, but I wanted to fit one from each state and territory, and I didn't want you guys to have to sit through 4 or 5 hours of podcasts. So it is what it is. Quick interviews there, but it's like a profile piece, right? These are wrestlers that you may not have heard of, but now you have. You can check them out on social media. I will put the links in the show notes for all of those socials. And yeah, you can get around it and get in and support Aussie Graps. That's what it's all about here. That's what it's all about here on the B+. And if you are still with us, thank you so much for joining us and letting us be a part of your holiday. The amount of you who listened on Christmas Day to our Christmas special with Mr. Christmas was staggering. I mean, I think I even said to Mr. Christmas as we were recording it, I don't think anyone's actually going to listen to this on Christmas Day. But well over 100 of you listened to it on Christmas Day itself, and it's been listened to more since then. But on Christmas Day, over 100 people, it's so insane to me. I am so humbled and grateful that you guys invite me into your homes or into your ears or whatever it is. I'm thankful that you guys are listening and getting on board with what we're doing here with getting Aussie Graps out there, and not just Aussie Graps, but we talk about New Japan here, right? We talk about Ring of Honor. We talk about everything. So really grateful that you guys are joining us on this ride where we can, like I said at the top, we can watch global, support local. That's what it's all about here at the B+. And 2018 has been a crazy year. It took me to Melbourne, took me to Sydney, and that was just with, I think we've been active for 4 months or 5 months or so. So 2019 is going to be amazing. I mean, we've made so many great friends already, and that's what it's all about, right? The friendships, like this magical community we are all a part of, which is, it's pretty silly when you think about it. Wrestling is basically a bunch of sweaty men and women throwing each other around in their underwear, playing out ancient tales of good versus evil as a theater in the round, and it's able to bring people together and connect us and bring forth just a lot of positivity into the world. And there's negative as well. There's a lot of negative, especially if you dwell on social media. I think Mike Boomer has the right idea there, to stay away from the social media. But that's what we want to do at the B+. We want to, as much as humanly possible, focus on the positive, focus on building things up, Some people may see that as a negative about us here, that we're not super critical about things or what have you, but you know what? Some people see negatives everywhere, and I'm just trying to bring a little balance, just trying to balance that out, because I am not one of those people. I think wrestling is fantastic, Aussie wrestling is fantastic, get around it. Thank you for sticking with us through 2018, and we look forward to bringing you all kinds of awesome grappling goodness throughout 2019, so be sure to head over to our brand new Patreon, send some love our way, support our sponsors, Threadbox, All Aussie Travelers, like, share, subscribe, head over to the social media pages of all the wrestlers featured on today's episode, 5-star review if you like what we do, and thank you so much for listening.
Hold one! Arm drag! You're not good at this, get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon. You just made the list! Oh my God!
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy! Goodbye and good night. Hold two! Arm bar!
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
It's still real to me, damn it! Dummy! Hold three! The moss covered!